My name is Annie DePriest. I am one of the guidance counselors here at Jonathan Older, and that's Cindy Wolf. She's our other counselor. We are in charge of the CCP program here. We also have joining us Laura Maximovich from Columbus State, and then we have Katie Sellers joining us from Clark State. So what is College Credit Plus? College Credit Plus is the state of Ohio's program where you can earn dual enrollment. So basically what you're doing is you're earning credit for high school and college at the same time. Who is eligible to participate? Any student in Ohio with the grades 7 through 12 who's enrolled in a public or private high school or homeschool. So what you can do is take a variety of courses at any public and participating private college in Ohio. So we do partner with Columbus State and Clark State, but you are welcome to take CCP classes through any other university that does CCP classes. We do have courses that are held here at Jonathan Older. We have courses that are online, and then we have courses that are obviously on the college campus as well. So different routes that you can do to take College Credit Plus courses. How students participate. So the first step to participating in CCP is you have to be eligible to participate. A student is eligible for CCP if they meet any of the following criteria. So you have a remediation-free score on one of the standard assessment exams. So typically we use your ACT score for that. So you score those readiness scores on your ACT and you're eligible to participate in CCP. You could also have an unweighted cumulative GPA of at least a 3.0. And then the last thing is that you could have a cumulative unweighted GPA of at least 2.75, so less than a 3.0, and receive an A or B in a relevant high school course. So there's different ways that you can qualify to take CCP courses. Step 2, so you have to determine that you're eligible to take CCP courses. The next part is that you apply to college. So Mrs. Wolf and I don't look at people who want to take CCP classes and say you're eligible or you're not eligible. What happens is you determine if you're eligible and then you apply to that college. So you're going to apply to Columbus State with their CCP application, or you're going to apply to Clark State with their CCP application, or whatever college you want to get your CCP credits through. So what happens is you apply for admission at the institution you want to go to, and then they review the requirements that they need you to have in order to get into the CCP program there. The college applications include permission slips for mature content and a questionnaire about emotional maturity. So they just started this a couple years ago where they want to make sure that families know that there is some mature content in those courses because they are, of course, college courses, and they want to make sure that you're emotionally ready to handle that kind of content. Again, the colleges have the final decision on student admission. It's not a Jonathan Older decision if the student gets in, it is the college decision.
So course registration, how do you do that? If your course is here in the building and one of our teachers that is an adjunct teacher at one of the colleges is teaching it, we will get you registered. If you're taking something outside of here, online, on campus, whatever, you need to work with us, well, even if you're taking it here, you have to work with us 100% no matter what college you're going to, so we can get you registered and help you get registered. Each college registers in a different way. Okay, so some of them, we email the college. In Clark State's situation, we email Katie and we say, hey, so-and-so wants to take this class, here are all the scores, blah, 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 and she says, okay. She sends orientation stuff and she registers them. Columbus State, on the other hand, has a form that we fill out and we have to do it that way. So every college does it differently, so you have to make sure you're working with your counselor. College Credit Plus runs summer for a year, summer through fall, or summer through spring, sorry. So when we talk about hours, it's going to start summer, then you'll have your fall, then you'll have your spring semester. So that's your year. And when you're registering, typically around our spring break is when fall classes will be registering, okay? So you're doing this way in advance, just so you know that. what courses are you eligible to take? When you first start out with CCP, you can only take what's called Tier 1 or Level 1 courses at that college. And there's a list in the packet of what those are. They're also on the CCP Canvas class, so you can look at those because they're different for every college, obviously. Once you have hit 15 college credit plus hours at that college, then you can move on to Level 2. Okay, what's not allowed? What you can't take this through CCP. So anything that is like a private one-on-one, like you're the only student in that class, you can't take that. CCP won't pay for that. You can't take a physical education class like yoga or aerobics or taekwondo, something like that. They won't pay for it. Anything that's study abroad, any course that is pass-fail only grade, they won't pay for that. If anything that is a remedial course, because like in Columbus State situation, they start out at the 1000s where you can start taking the courses. Anything below that, like a 150, you can't take. And anything that's a religious, like a strictly religious course. Okay, you can do comparative, but not just a strictly religious course. Okay, so how many classes can I take? Do you want to write a calculation up there for me?
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
There should be, okay. So in a year's time, you're allowed 30 hours, but you have to calculate into that your high school courses. Every high school course that you take here, if it's a full year, it's worth 3 college credit hours. So that's how it comes off, right? Like Carnegie units. Then, so if you have, give me an example. You have 2 high school courses, like they're true high school courses. So times 3 would be 6, okay? So that's taking off of your CCP hours. So then you're gonna subtract that 6 from your 30, and you have 24, did I do that right?
Yep.
You have 24 hours to use under CCP. Whether you take those here, online, on campus, it doesn't matter, but that's how many hours you have to use in that year, okay? From the time you start CCP, whether, because it's open from 7th grade to 12th grade, you only are allowed 120 hours total, okay? So if you started in 7th grade, you have to really, really, really watch and manage to make sure you don't go over that 120. Does that make sense to everybody? Because sometimes those calculations get confusing. If you do enroll over 30 hours, now you're going to have an option A and an option B we're going to talk about in a minute. If you go over those 30 hours, you do have the option to pay for them. You can still take the class, but it becomes a family financial responsibility at that point.
Okay, so what are some things that you should consider before signing up for CCP? Just consider that the final grades earned in the college course are the same grade that will be on the high school transcript. So if you take Comp 1 through Columbus State and you earn a C, that C is not only going on your college transcript, but it's also going on your high school transcript as well. So that's just something to put into consideration, and that will be factored into your high school GPA and your college GPA as well. Grade weighting. High schools weight all advanced standing courses in a subject matter consistently, so we weight all CCP classes the same. So again, that's something to kind of keep in mind when you're thinking about CCP. Selective service. So this is just something we like to let students know ahead of time. When you're registering for CCP courses, if you are a male and you register for CCP courses, when you turn 18 years old, you have to provide the institution with which you take courses your selective service number. If you do not, then the financial responsibility lays on the family. So that's just something that Mrs. Wolf and I try to keep our 18-year-olds, mainly our senior boys, up on, so that way their families don't have to pay for that CCP course. But just want to let everybody know that ahead of time.
So what's the difference between taking a high school course and taking a CCP college level course? So we broke it down, and actually, I don't know if we did this or if the state did this, but it's broken down, so study time obviously is ramped up because it's a college course, and you can think you're gonna have probably at least an hour or two extra of homework and studying. The knowledge base of that, when you're here taking a high school course, most of your stuff is you're learning in a lecture, right? And then you're assessed on that. In a college, you're doing reading and stuff prior to even going to the lecture or listening to the lecture online, however your course may be formatted. Your tests, here we have plenty of them, and if you can retake, you can do whatever your teacher says goes, right? They accept late work, all of that. At the college, no late work, it's a 0. They have less frequent tests. We have a couple students right now that are taking a course at Columbus State, and there's 4 assessments for the entire semester. That's it. So just things to keep in mind. Not all of those courses are that way, though. I'm too far away. There we go. Grades, like Mrs. Dupree said, obviously you're going to get high school credit and college credit for these. So keep in mind, if you've got fewer tests and assessments that are happening in your college course, those scores have to be pretty good, so they're balancing out. You don't have as many opportunities to pull the grade up. So at high school, when we're talking about who's responsible, parents have a lot of say and a lot of contact with teachers. You could contact a teacher on a daily basis if you wanted to. At the college level, that's not an option. Students have more flexibility with that. They're more responsible. They have to sign a FERPA form to say that it's okay for us to talk with parents. And accommodations. So if you have an IEP or a 504 and you're using that here in the building, even if you're taking your CCP course here in the building, if you want those accommodations or any accommodations, you have to take that paperwork to the college, every college has a different name for it, Office of Accessibilities, Special Services Office, something like that, and file that with them, and they will look it over to see what accommodations they will allow. Does that make sense? Is that clear? Because they're 2 different entities at that point. And we do not override what the college says that they're going to allow. Okay, so what does it mean to be college ready? So like we talked about, all of that mature content, you want to make sure that you're able to do that, because you might be, a 10th grader and you're in a class with 30-year-olds in some instances. So you want to make sure that you're able to have those conversations and know that, some of the content and language and all of that is going to be adult. And consider that you have the time management skills in order to handle the CCP, because it is a lot more work. Deadlines are deadlines, and zeros if the deadline is not met. There have been exceptions, but it takes a lot of paperwork to get through them.
Okay, so what are the benefits of participating in CCP? One of the best things about this program is that you can earn college credit and high school credit at the same time. You're like killing 2 birds with 1 stone, which is amazing. The other thing is it's free. The state of Ohio pays for you to earn these college credits, and I think we all sitting in this room know college is an expensive investment to make. So it's an awesome opportunity to save some money. So that's a benefit of it. You get to experience college early to understand the expectations. So you get to explore the expectations of classes. If you take classes on campus, you can kind of see what campus life is like. So that's kind of cool. And then you can get a head start on career planning and maybe earn degrees or certificate completions. So you can actually earn your associate's degree if you kind of plan that out, if you take enough CCP classes while you're in high school, which is, I think, really cool. So again, lots of benefits, but there are some consequences to taking CCP classes and underperforming in those courses. So families will be asked to reimburse Jonathan Older if the student does not earn a passing grade for the course. So you take a course through Columbus State and you fail, you're going to get an invoice from the treasurer's office asking to reimburse us for the cost of the class plus the books and the fees and all of that stuff. So that's one thing to consider. You have to pass the class. There's also very strict deadlines. So let's say you're taking a sociology class and halfway through the semester you decide that you want to drop that class. You're really struggling, you're getting a D. Well, they have strict deadlines for dropping classes. So if you don't meet those certain deadlines, even if you do withdraw, you may have to pay for the course. So again, just things to think about when you're considering CCP. Some other things is College Credit Plus probation. If you earn less than a 2.0 in your CCP courses, then you'll be put on probation, or if you withdraw from 2 or more courses in one academic term. Again, these are things that we don't often see, but we need to make sure you guys are aware of them. Okay, so while on probation, if you are on probation, you can only enroll in one CCP course for one college semester. You may not enroll in a college course in the same subject in which you previously earned a D, F, or no credit. And then if while on probation you don't increase your GPA to above a 2.0, then you will be placed on CCP dismissal. So again, nothing that we see often, but want you guys to be aware of. If you do get dismissed from CCP, you can't enroll in any other CCP classes. And you are able to request an appeal to be reinstated in the program. What are the consequences of underperforming after high school? So the grades earned in CCP will remain on your college transcripts permanently. So again, when you're applying to colleges after high school, so Ohio State, OU, BG, you're going to send your college transcript and your high school transcript. Those grades will stay with you forever, so that's something to remember. If you fail or withdraw often, there could be a future impact on the financial aid. So that's something to think about. And then it goes on to talk about more financial aid stuff.
Okay, so remember we were talking about that option A and option B. So in your paperwork, this is always the most confusing question. It says, are you taking option A or option B? So essentially, in a nutshell, option A means the family is paying the tuition. And so rarely do we have anybody choose this, because why would you unless you were going over your 30 hours? So the only reason you would ever choose A is if you're going over your 30 hours, or you're just like, no, I want to pay for it. I don't know. That's not the purpose of CCP. The purpose is for you to get an education and have it, at less cost. So that's option A. Option B is what we see the most, and that is meaning that the Jonathan Alder funds that from the state are paying your CCP. Okay. So how this would work if you do go over your 30 hours in a year, the last course that gets you to 30, if you're right at 30, so say that is a 3 credit hour course, you had 27 credits, this is putting you at 30, you're fine. If it's a 4 credit hour course, you are at 27, this is putting you at 31, you have to pay for those 4 credits. So there's no, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, they can't, what was the word?
Prorate.
Prorate, that's it, thank you. You can't, the course can't be prorated in there, and so we pay some of it and you pay some of it. You have to pay the whole thing that made you over. Does that make sense? And again, students in both situations earn credit, high school credit and college credit. So the grade goes on the high school transcript as well as the college transcript.
I will say, so really the big ones that I see students do option A, if you're running for like valedictorian or salutatorian and you do not want to take the chance of ruining that, or you have a scholarship that is based on your high school GPA and you just don't want to take the chance You have to elect that at the beginning. We've had a few students who come at the end and they're like, oh, well, I want to pay for that to remove that from my high school transcript. You have to let us know up front. You can't wait until you test drive the course and then get a final grade and be like, actually, I don't want that on my high school transcript. So if you're option A, you have the option of removing it from your high school transcript and not putting it, only getting college credit for it, not high school and college credit.
Thanks, Katie.
You're welcome.
Okay, so what support services are available? We talked about how if you have an IEP or a 504 and you can take that to the college to see what kind of accommodations they would give you. Well, there's also support for everybody in the college. So anything that every other college student has to them, tutoring, anything on campus that's available to them, counseling sessions, all of that is also available to CCP students. Okay, so don't forget that. I mean, I have students, I don't understand this, and I email them back and I go, have you asked tutoring? You know, and tried to set up an appointment? Oh no, I forgot about that. So it's a big one because it's free. So that's a good one to have. Student athletes. So eligibility for athletics works differently than just being a full-time student. So full-time student, you have to have 5 classes. Doesn't matter what classes they are, you have to have 5 in that semester. So that would make you a full-time high school student, which is what you need for eligibility, okay? Also, Ohio High School says that because you're taking a college level class, then depending on the credit hours that class is worth, there's a multiplier and we'll give you more athletic eligibility for that. So if it's 3, 4, or 5, ladies correct me if I'm wrong, 3, 4, or 5 college credit hours, that is worth 2 eligibility points. So in a world where you're taking English 1100, which is 3 college hours, that's 2 eligibility points right there. So if you only need 5 eligibility points to participate, you could get away with only taking 4 classes. But keep in mind, you still have to be a full-time student. So depending on your year, if you're a sophomore, junior, you have to be taking 5 classes to be a full-time student all year long. Seniors are a little bit more flexible. So that gets confusing, and that's really, it's a personal, like, everybody's individual on that one. Did I forget something on that?
The summer.
Oh, the
Summer
summer.
doesn't take
Oh,
off
yeah. Summer classes do not count towards athletic eligibility. So you can't say in the fall, I'm only going to take these 3 because I took those 2 in the summer. They don't go together. You start all over each semester.
Okay, so will the course credits transfer? There is a list that we have included, I think it's in the packet, it's called Ohio 36, and those credits on that list are ones that will transfer over. And those are all general education requirements. And technical courses will transfer, especially from one Ohio public college to another Ohio public college. I think really where we see some issues is with our students who are going out of state. Like I was looking at Duke earlier this week at their requirements, and they don't accept any dual enrollment credits. So it just honestly depends. Students always ask, like, well, is this going to transfer to my college? Well, it depends on where you want to go to college. So some courses may transfer over for your major. Some courses may transfer over just as a general requirement. So again, it just kind of depends on the college. Again, you must check with the college to confirm transferability, which I know for a lot of you it will be hard because you don't know exactly where you want to go to college right now. One resource that we use that's really helpful is transfercredit.ohio.gov to see what transfers. I also use Transferology a lot to see what, like this Clark State class, what it will transfer to at Ohio State, what it will transfer to at OU. And so that's really helpful too when I'm looking at will my courses transfer. Okay, so the next step. So you're interested in CCP, how do you start signing up, getting involved? So there is a paper, the intent to participate. If you flip to your middle packet, the middle of your packet, it is, if I can get my fingers to work here. It's this page right here. It says Ohio Department of Education intent to participate. So this is due by April 1st every year. We have to have this on file. This is from the state of Ohio. They say we have to have it on file by April 1st every year if you want to participate in CCP for next school year. So that's the first step, is to get this filled out and turned in to Mrs. Wolf and I. The other thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to apply to the colleges. So again, like Clark State and Columbus State have specific CCP applications that they want you to do. So make sure when you're going to their websites that you go to those specific CCP applications. We want you to have your colleges applied to by April 1st. Some courses that you will take will need some college placement. And your deadline to submit those scores to us is May 1st. Mrs. Wolf and I actually got certified at Columbus State and Clark State to be able to offer the AccuPlacer here for you guys, so we're really excited about that. So there are some dates that we're offering for Clark State. For Columbus State, we don't often have students that have to take the AccuPlacer because most of our students who do Columbus State classes tend to do like the English, because we have English here, Comp 1 and Comp 2, psychology, sociology, and those courses don't require you to take the AccuPlacer, so unless you don't have a 3.0. So we haven't scheduled a date yet until we can determine how many students need that AccuPlacer. So we will schedule one for that at a later date. Another score that you can submit and that we'll look at when we're looking at college placement is the ACT, which all juniors will take on February 25th. So we can use that as your placement score as well. Okay, so
Wait a minute. When you were talking about applying to the schools, there is a step-by-step in your packet.
Is that yearly? They apply every year?
no, you apply once, but you do have to do the paperwork like this packet every year.
Okay.
So here are the classes that we offer at Jonathan Older. So we have Composition 1 and Composition 2, which is offered through Columbus State. Mrs. Marling currently teaches that course. And then the rest of our in-house classes are through Clark State. We have Chem 1210, which is general chemistry. We have general physics with algebra. We have Math 2200, which is calculus 1, and then we have elementary statistics 1 and 2. So if any course is offered in person here at Jonathan Older versus taking it online or going to campus, we always recommend staying here and being familiar with the people that teach it. Our kids tend to do well with that.
So those courses that we do have here are the placement scores for those. So for that chemistry course, there's an AccuPlacer. You're going to take the AAF, it's Advanced Algebra and Functions, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So you need a 250 on that, or those ACT scores. The physics that we have here, you will also need that AAF. The calculus, that's the Math 2200. Also the AAF, but it ramps up. You need a 281 on that one. Or the ACT. This isn't and, these are or, if that makes sense. So AccuPlacer, you need those scores, or ACT, those scores. Okay? For statistics, 1, you need the quantitative reasoning test, and you need a 250 on, no, 266 on that.
Yes.
And English, like Mrs. Dupree said, most of our students that take English 1100 qualify with their 3.0 GPA. If you don't have that, there are ways that we can work around that and tests that we can take. Well, not we, you. Anybody wants to know what policies that Jonathan Older has on CCP? These are all of the policies that designate something about CCP. The one I think the 2271 is the actual CCP policy. All of the other ones are the, like there's something intermingled in that policy about CCP. And is this, how do I write this? Oh, wow. Where it says JABOE CCP policies, that's a link. So you can just click on that to get to the policies. And those are also links from the state of Ohio, in case you have questions. This will be posted online on the CCP page on the high school website. So if you want to go back through it and look at it, you're more than welcome to. In your packet, you will have to sign off that you've watched it or seen it in some manner. So do you want to come on up?
So I'm Laura with Columbus State, and just to give you a general idea of what we have in our programs, you guys got a lot of great information about what CCP is. I would just encourage you, when you do look for the registration process, make sure you are looking for CCP registration and not filling out the application as a traditional college student. That's a frequent mistake. Also, some documentation to have on hand when you start that application. Students need to have their social security number. That's a common error, and that application will not go through. So you may think you have applied, but it's just kind of sitting there in a holding pattern, and somebody's got to start figuring out, why didn't you get prompted? So that's just right off the bat something to be mindful for. And then there isn't a fee to apply and get that application going. The first thing you'll receive is what we call our Cougar ID number, and that's your Columbus State student ID. So then moving forward, you'll get a CCP advisor assigned to you, to the student. You'll get not only that information, but it's helpful anytime you reach out to the college with any sort of help that the student uses their Cougar ID number. That will enable us to get into the system, call up your account, see everything we need to in order to help you a lot quicker. So the benefit of Columbus State and these CCP programs in smaller colleges, you have a lot more smaller class sizes, more personal relationships with your academic advisors. And at Columbus State, our CCP enrollment is now, we just hit 10,000 students. So we have we have like a mini college within a college. So that's why your number is very important, because we may have a lot of duplicate names in the system and we think we're talking to you, but we want to make sure we're not talking to somebody else. That happens frequently. So please use that identifier. Let's see. It's not going to scroll for me.
While you're going to that, So on your college paperwork that you're filling out, it asks for your ID number. When it asks for that ID number, it's the ID to that college, not your high school ID number. So like if you're filling out a Columbus State paper, they want your Cougar ID. If you're filling out a Clark State paper, they want your Clark State ID.
I brought some Columbus State materials. They're sitting over here on the table. So we have our program of study. There are over 200 programs that are available to Columbus State students. There are occasionally some programs that are not eligible for CCP students. It's rare, but there are some there. I know our vet tech programs are something that CCP students are not able to enroll in, but we have a lot of those basic required courses. Let's see here. Accessibility services, that's something that as a parent of a student at the time when he was in high school, actually all the way through K-12, he had an IEP. One thing I didn't realize but was very helpful to learn, Department of Education has IDEA for those 504 IEP plans, where when you move over to college, it's different. it's not about giving you the tools in order to succeed in the class, but the focus is on accessibility to the student. So some accommodations that a student may have in the K-12 space are not going to be available at the college level. So if, like my son for high school had some condensed assignments or some special notes, extended test taking time can be an accommodation that transfers over to college, but modifications to the coursework. So as opposed to a math project where the class has 20 different activities, problems to handle, to turn in for a grade, we couldn't do that at the college level. We couldn't individualize an assignment. If we do it for one person, we have to do it for the entire class. So the key in thinking about college accessibility, it's access. So he had extended test taking. He was able to get notes from the college instructor. That needs to be talked with the instructor and disclosed at the very beginning of the class. So it's not something that you could try and say, well, I'm not going to approach the instructor and say I've got an IEP or I have some accommodations. I'm going to wait and see how it goes. You need to go ahead and disclose that right at the beginning of the semester. There are some helpful information on the accessibility website too. We just did a training with our K-12 partners a few weeks ago, and all of that is available even for parents to look at. Let's see. Our success rates, we just actually got some new statistics. About 92% of our CCP students actually have successful completions of their courses. So that actually exceeds our traditional college students. They come in about 85%, where our CCP students are well over 90%. So, and I think a lot of that is for the actual supports that the students are getting at their high school, but also working with their academic advisor. And I don't want to duplicate anything that you guys went through. So, did you have, Katie?
I just have a few things that I want to say, and it's not really Clark State related. The CCP program is so heavily legislated that our program is pretty much the same as Columbus State. That's the same as Edison, Rhodes, wherever you go. A few things. Our courses that we offer here, I was looking back, I don't think in the 5 years that I've worked with you guys, we've ever had a student fail the course. So any of the courses here. So it really, those are hard courses. So if there's a course that's offered here, I strongly, strongly, strongly recommend you take it here versus taking it online or on campus, either with us or Columbus State. You guys have the support, you know the instructors, you can go to them during a study hall, homeroom. I don't even know if you guys have homeroom anymore. But you have, yes, you have access to your Jonathan Alder instructors. So I strongly recommend this English and then the science and maths, take them in person if you can at Jonathan Alder. And then you had mentioned something that triggered me. Oh, the students that I see that do not do well, typically it's not because they're not academically prepared. It is the social and emotional maturity levels. Students, you guys are the ones that are going to have to talk to us. We cannot talk to your parent or guardian by federal law. So it's not anything against you or your parents, but that is a hard transition for a lot of families to get used to. So students, if it makes you uncomfortable talking to us, then I'd wait a year to participate or only take some courses in-house that you have access to your professor or your teachers here versus the professors. They may be like, well, okay, this is a joke. A parent should not be reaching out to me to say I need an extension on the homework assignment. That happens often every semester. Several parents do that. So students, if you don't like asking for help, we may want to have a conversation to see if you're ready quite yet. Again, it's the tutoring resources, knowing that tutoring does not mean you're dumb. Tutoring is there to support you and to help you. Writing, you guys have writing comments that you can submit papers. We have a same thing. If you have a paper due, send it in, ask for feedback. It is a free service to you. It is typically open 24/7. You submit it and they'll send you the feedback. So just asking for help and knowing when to ask for help and realizing that asking for help does not mean that you are doing anything wrong. I believe in this program. I have been in this role 4 or 5 years at Clark State working with the CCP program, and I love what this program has to offer, but I just want you all to be prepared because it is a transition. I was someone who could breeze through high school, didn't ever open a book, went to college and had a very rude awakening and had to learn how to study. So this program, if you're wanting to jump in and get a feel for college, definitely start with the courses here to get that feel and then branch out and do some online and in-person classes. But it's a great way if you're like, I don't know if college is for me, this is the way to feel that out before you're on the hook financially for thousands of dollars.
I would agree that self-advocacy is probably the toughest challenge for the students. But with the academic advisors and the high school staff, you get that soft launch. So it's nice because once you transition to a traditional student, it's all on you to be advocating for yourself. So there's that safety net there to help move you in that direction. I think it's a hard transition even for parents. They're not quite ready to have that hands off. But that's a conversation between the parent and the student and what you're comfortable with, and the form is there to give access to the parents so that they can be included in the conversation. But that is a big adjustment.
And we work very, very closely with Mrs. DePriest and Mrs. Wolf. So you guys are not on your own. We're not going to say that we're not going to talk to you at all, but we work very closely with your team.
Questions?
You guys have any questions? I know we just threw a bunch of information at you. What questions do you have? Anything? Yes.
Is it common that students could that they do go to Clark State and Columbus State?
Yes, that's a great question. Yeah, we have students all the time. It's a lot of times our classes that are at JA in person. So we have students who simultaneously sign up for Comp 1 and Comp 2 through Columbus State. They might take a psychology class online, and then through Clark State they might take chem and a math class. So yes, you can do 2 institutions at a time.
When you do, at the end of the day, when you're graduating, you have to request those transcripts to go to the college you're going to. So if, if you're going from, you're taking classes at both of these colleges, and then you're going to BG, you're requesting from both of those colleges for that transcript to go to BG. If they don't take it from the high school transcript, so keep that in mind too. So the more colleges you take courses from, you have to request it from every single college for CCP.
Also, they're both CSCC, which we found out, which seems very obvious now. But there was, for us, a lot of confusion being the first time, so I didn't really, we applied twice, what are we not applying here, there? It was just, I don't know, because they're in high school, so it was a navigation.
Yeah. We try and use CSCC for Columbus State, and we say Clark State for Clark State.
Yeah.
But sometimes
Good
I'm
tip.
sure we screw up.
No,
Yeah.
good tip.
Anything else?
Okay. Well, if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to either one of us, and we're happy to help you guys.
Thanks for coming.
That's pretty awesome.